I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here telling a story like this, but honestly, I guess life just throws you curveballs sometimes. My name's Mike, and I've been with Emily for about 7 years now. We met in college, hit it off pretty quickly, and for the most part, I thought we were solid. She's a sharp girl, smart, ambitious, kind of bitchy when she's annoyed, but I loved her for it. We moved into a decent apartment, got a dog, and everything seemed fine. At least, that's what I thought. Lately, though, I started noticing little things. Her phone was always glued to her hand, she was more secretive about her texts, and she'd snap at me if I even glanced at her phone. I shrugged it off initially, thinking maybe she was just stressed with work or something. Emily's a producer at a local TV station, and her job's high pressure. But then she started staying out later than usual, claiming she was working late at the studio. I didn't think much of it at first, but I'd catch her glancing at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, or she'd quickly hide it if I came near. One night she was supposed to be at a friend's birthday dinner, but she texted me around midnight saying she was staying over at her sister. I didn't think much of it, even though I felt a flicker of unease. I was pretty tired, so I just went to bed. But then the next morning I got up early for work and decided to check her phone, something I never do, honestly. I was just curious if she'd been lying about where she was. That's when I saw it. Her messages with that co-host of her podcast. Her name's Lisa. They had been texting nonstop, mostly about work stuff, but then I saw a few messages that were way more personal, flirty, embarrassing, honestly. They were talking about meeting up after her show, joking about how hot she looked and how much they wanted to fuck. My stomach dropped. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I went through more messages, and yeah, there were pictures, full-on naked selfies she sent Lisa. I couldn't believe it. She'd been hiding this for months. I sat there frozen, just staring at the screen, trying to process what I was seeing. I felt angry, betrayed, humiliated. How could she do this? I didn't even know what to think. That same morning, I confronted her. I waited until she came home from her sister's place. When she got in, I asked her to sit down. I showed her the messages, the photos. Her face twisted like she was annoyed I was invading her privacy. She rolled her eyes, said I was overreacting, that it was just work stuff, and that I was insecure. That she was tired of my paranoia and that I needed to stop being so jealous. But I didn't buy it. I could see the guilt, the way her eyes darted away. She kept lying, pretending like it was nothing, like I was crazy for even thinking she'd cheat. She told me she never fucked Lisa, that they were just friends, professional friends. She said with that bitchy edge in her voice that I was just being paranoid, that I was accusing her of something she didn't do. But I knew better. I felt sick, like everything I believed in was unraveling right in front of me. It was as if I'd been hit with a ton of bricks, and I started questioning everything about us, about her. I couldn't sleep that night. My head was spinning, trying to wrap my mind around all of it. I kept thinking about how she lied, how she betrayed me with her co-host in the studio where we used to record our podcast. That studio was supposed to be a place of creation, of us working together, sharing our passions. Now I saw it as a symbol of her betrayal. I wondered how long this had been going on, how many times she had been lying to my face, pretending everything was fine while she was messing around behind my back. I didn't even want to talk to her that night. I just sat there, staring at the ceiling, feeling numb. The trust I had in her was shattered. I kept asking myself why she did it, why she thought she could get away with this. I was hurt, furious, and honestly, I started planning what I'd do next. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time, not just about the messages, about how I was going to deal with this whole mess. I'm telling you, the feeling of betrayal cuts deep, especially when it's someone you loved and trusted. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat properly. My mind kept circling back to those messages, the pictures, her lies. Every time I thought about what I saw, a surge of anger would flood through me, but underneath it all was this crushing sense of betrayal. How could someone I loved so much do something like this? And worse, how could she lie so easily about it? I started noticing other things, subtle but telling. She became even more defensive when I asked about her whereabouts. She'd snap at me if I looked at her phone, claiming I was crazy and paranoid. It was like living with someone who was constantly on the edge, ready to snap. I knew I couldn't just pretend everything was normal anymore, not after what I'd seen. I needed to confront her again, but I had to be smart about it. I couldn't just blurt out what I knew. I needed a plan. One night, I decided I'd catch her in the act somehow. I set up a hidden camera in the studio, something I never thought I'd do, but I was desperate. I secretly installed a small recording device in the corner of the recording room, pointing at the door. I knew she went there often, sometimes alone, sometimes with Lisa. I wanted irrefutable proof, and I was willing to do whatever it took. I kept it discreet, making sure she wouldn't suspect a thing. A few days later, I watched the footage. It was like a punch to the chest. There she was, Emily, making out with Lisa in the studio, their bodies pressed together on the couch. The camera caught everything, her hands roaming, her moans, the way she whispered Lisa's name. I felt that familiar, sickening twist in my stomach. It was worse than I'd imagined. She was cheating on me with her podcast co-host, right in our studio, the place we shared our dreams and projects. And she had the nerve to lie to my face about it. I felt a rage I never knew I had. I wanted to break something, to yell at her, to make her see how deeply she'd hurt me. But I knew I needed to keep calm for now. I saved the footage, made copies, and started planning my next move. I couldn't just confront her again without proof. I wanted her to know that I knew everything, exactly what she'd been doing behind my back. That night I sat her down and showed her the video. I played it on the laptop, slow and deliberate. Her face froze, then turned red with anger. She tried to deny it, saying it was just work friends fooling around, that it meant nothing, that I was crazy for jumping to conclusions. She's good at lying, I'll give her that. But I wasn't buying any of it anymore. I looked into her eyes and told her I had all the evidence I needed. Her reaction was a mixture of rage and tears. She yelled at me, calling me paranoid, accusing me of invading her privacy, of being jealous and insecure. She said I was making a mountain out of a molehill, that I didn't understand her, that she was just trying to find herself, that I didn't deserve her, that I was just a boring husband who couldn't satisfy her. Honestly, her words cut like knives. I'd never seen her so bitchy, so dismissive. It was like she thought she was above everything, that her cheating was no big deal, but I knew the truth, and I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. That night I felt like my world was collapsing. I loved her, but I couldn't ignore what I'd seen. The trust was gone. I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what to do next. I was furious, hurt, and exhausted. I kept asking myself if I could forgive her, if I even wanted to. But deep down, I knew the answer was no. I couldn't live with this betrayal hanging over me. I needed to decide whether to fight for the marriage or walk away for good. And honestly, right now, I felt like walking away was the only option I had left. After that confrontation, everything changed. The house felt colder, emptier somehow. Emily kept up her act, throwing tantrums, calling me insecure, saying I was just jealous because she was so hot and successful. She denied everything, even the footage I played for her, which made it clear she was willing to lie her way out of this. Honestly, I'd never seen her so bitchy and manipulative before. It was like she thought she could just wave her hand and dismiss everything I'd uncovered. But I wasn't about to back down. I knew I had to make a decision fast. Part of me still wanted to save what we had, but my trust was shattered beyond repair. I started looking into lawyers, thinking about divorce, about ending it all. The betrayal was so deep I couldn't even look at her the same way anymore. Every glance, every word felt like it was coated in lies. I kept thinking about how she'd acted like she loved me, how she'd laughed with me, cooked with me, shared her dreams. And now I knew she'd been sneaking around, cheating on me in our studio, pretending everything was fine. One night I decided I'd had enough of her bullshit. I told her I was leaving for a business trip, a lie, but I needed some space to think. I packed some things, told her I needed to clear my head, and left. As I walked out the door, she was screaming at me, calling me all sorts of names, saying I was overreacting, that I was crazy for even thinking she was unfaithful. I didn't care anymore. I just needed to get away from her, to clear my head. While I was gone, I reached out to a lawyer. I wanted to know my rights, how to get her out of the house, what I'd need to prove for a divorce. It was a complicated mess, especially because of the podcast studio and how much she'd lied. I was angry at her, yes, but I also felt betrayed by myself. Why didn't I see it earlier? Why did I ignore the signs? I kept replaying everything in my head, wishing I had acted sooner, that I hadn't let her manipulate me into thinking I was crazy. During that time, I also started talking to some friends, trying to get support. Most of them told me I was better off without her, that she was selfish, that she clearly didn't respect me, and that I deserved someone who wouldn't screw me over like this. Hearing that helped a little made me feel less alone in this nightmare. But at the same time, I was drowning in remorse and confusion. I loved her, or at least I thought I did. Now I wasn't sure about anything. When I finally confronted her again face to face a few days later, she played victim. She cried, saying I was ruining her career, that I was just jealous and insecure, that she loved me but she needed freedom and adventure. She even said she wanted to work things out, that she'd stop seeing Lisa, that everything could go back to normal. I looked at her and realized she was full of shit. She was good at lying, but I could see through it. She didn't want to lose her podcast, her success, or her ability to cheat behind my back. I told her it was over, that I wasn't going to stay with someone who lied, cheated, and disrespected me like that. I was done. I wanted out, and I was going to make sure I got what I deserved: respect, honesty, and a clean break. She threw a tantrum, calling me all sorts of names, saying I was an insecure idiot, that I was too jealous, that I was ruining her life. Honestly, it was pathetic. But I didn't care anymore. I was just tired of her bullshit, tired of feeling like I was walking on eggshells every time I asked about her. That's where I am now, still figuring out the legal stuff, trying to piece my life back together. I don't think I'll ever fully trust her again, not after what I saw and what she's put me through. But I've learned a lot about myself, about red flags I should have seen, about how easy it is to be blindsided by someone you love. If there's one thing I want to tell anyone reading this, it's this: trust your gut. Because if you don't, you might wake up one day and realize your whole life is built on lies. And nobody deserves that kind of betrayal. Once I finally made the decision to cut ties, things got even messier. Emily was furious, of course. The bitchy side I'd seen in her before came out full force. She called me names, accused me of being crazy, said I was trying to ruin her career for no reason. Her tears were fake, her anger was real, and her words cut deep. She kept insisting it was just a misunderstanding, that I was overreacting, that she loved me but needed freedom. She even went as far as to say I was controlling and clingy, which was laughable because she was the one sneaking around behind my back. I wasn't about to be manipulated anymore. I told her to get out of the house, that I wasn't going to sit around and be played for a fool. I had evidence, real, undeniable evidence. I showed her the footage of her in the studio, her making out with Lisa, the naked selfies she'd sent, and all the messages. I told her I was going to file for divorce, that she could keep her little podcast, her career, and her lies, but I was done pretending everything was fine. That day, she stormed out of the apartment after one last scream fit. I remember feeling a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. Relief because I finally took control, and emptiness because I realized how much I'd loved her, or at least thought I did. I kept replaying everything in my mind, wondering how I didn't see the signs sooner. Was I blind? Was I a fool for trusting her? The betrayal cut so deep I felt like I was losing a part of myself. In the days that followed, I started going through the motions of legal separation. I hired a lawyer, started gathering everything I'd need for the divorce: the evidence, the bank statements, the proof of her infidelity. I also made sure to document her behavior, just in case she tried to claim I was the one who was controlling or crazy. It was a brutal process, but it was necessary. I didn't want to be with someone who lied and cheated, and then had the nerve to turn it around like I was the villain. Meanwhile, Emily kept trying to reach out, begging me to work things out, saying she was sorry, that she loved me. I blocked her number, ignored her messages, and tried to focus on healing. But every time I saw her name or heard her voice, it stirred up a flood of feelings: anger, sadness, betrayal. I knew deep down I'd never get over this, not the way she'd betrayed me. I'd trusted her, and she'd stomped all over that trust. It's funny how someone can go from being the love of your life to someone who's capable of this kind of deceit. Honestly, I find myself questioning everything about our relationship. All the little moments I thought were genuine now seem tainted. I keep asking myself if I missed the signs, if I was blind to her true nature. But truthfully, I don't think anyone can ever really see betrayal coming until it hits. That's what hurts the most, how blindsided I was. It's like she wore this mask for years, and I never realized she was living a double life. That realization stings more than anything. I suppose I'm still in shock trying to process what happened. I keep telling myself that I deserve better, that I'll find someone who respects me and isn't so full of shit. I've started focusing on myself, working out, reconnecting with friends, trying to rebuild my confidence. It's not easy. Some days are better than others. Some nights I lie awake feeling like an idiot for ever trusting her. But I know I'll get through it. I have to. Because nobody, especially not her, is going to ruin my life like this again. One thing I've learned: never ignore the red flags. I was blind, yeah, but now I see how easy it is to overlook the signs. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. And if someone lies to you once, chances are they'll do it again. I don't want anything to do with her anymore. She made her choice, and I have to accept that. The hardest part is accepting that I might never fully forgive her, but I'll survive. And someday, I believe I'll find happiness again. It's been a few weeks now since I kicked her out and started the divorce process, and honestly, life feels like it's on pause. The house is cold and empty, and her scent still lingers in certain corners, like a ghost I can't quite shake. I'm trying to focus on rebuilding myself, but it's tough. Every time I think I've moved past the shock and anger, something triggers it again. A song, a scent, a memory. Sometimes I catch myself staring at the wall, wondering how everything got so fucked up so fast. I've been seeing a therapist. Honestly, I didn't think I needed one initially, but talking to someone who isn't emotionally involved has helped me process my feelings. I'm angry, sure, but beneath that, I feel a deep sadness, like I lost a part of myself I'll never get back. I keep asking myself whether I should try to reconcile or just cut my losses and move on. The truth is, I'm leaning more toward the latter. Trust is shattered, and I don't think I can ever look at her the same way again. Plus, I don't want to live in a relationship built on lies and betrayal. Meanwhile, I've been trying to focus on myself. I started hitting the gym regularly, which helps burn off some of that pent-up anger. I also reconnected with some old friends I'd drifted away from over the years. Talking to them has been a relief. They remind me I'm not alone in this mess. Some of them have been through similar betrayals, and hearing their stories makes me feel a little less helpless. It's a slow process, but every small step counts. I've also been reflecting on what I want from life going forward. Honestly, I've realized I deserve honesty and loyalty, not someone sneaking around behind my back in our studio, pretending everything's fine. I want someone who respects me enough to be truthful, even if it's uncomfortable. I don't want to spend my life playing detective every time I suspect something's wrong. That kind of paranoia eats away at your soul. It's funny how one betrayal can turn your world upside down, making you question everything you thought was real. There's still a part of me that's angry at her, but I've started to feel a strange kind of relief too. No more games, no more lies. It's like a weight has been lifted, even if the pain remains. I know I'll get through this, but I've realized I need to take it one day at a time. No rushing, no forcing myself to feel okay overnight. Healing isn't linear. Some days I'll feel stronger, and others I'll be right back in the same place, feeling like the fool I was for ever trusting her. Every time I think about how she cheated on me in our studio, our sacred space, it still stings. That was supposed to be our place of creation, of partnership. Instead, it became the setting for her lies and betrayal. I keep imagining her and Lisa, tangled up in that room, the secret they kept hidden for so long. It's a brutal image, but part of me feels a strange sense of closure. Like, now I know the truth. It hurts, but I can finally start to move past it. Looking back, I realize I've learned a lot about myself. Trust is fragile, and it's not something to take for granted. I was naive, I admit it. But now I see the importance of listening to my instincts, of paying attention to the subtle signs. I also learned how toxic it can be to cling to someone who doesn't respect you. I wasted so much time convincing myself it was just a phase, or she's just stressed, when really she was hiding a different life from me. That realization hurts, but it's also freeing. Now I know what I refuse to tolerate. I can't say I'm fully healed yet, but I'm slowly moving forward. I'm trying to forgive myself for trusting her so blindly, and I'm working on forgiving her too, not because she deserves it, but because I need to let go of the anger if I want to survive this. I've accepted that she's not the person I thought she was, and that's okay. The pain is real, but so is the hope that someday I'll meet someone who's honest and faithful, someone who won't lie or cheat in our shared space. That's what keeps me going. That's what I tell myself every day. Now, as I sit here reflecting on everything, I realize how much this whole experience has changed me. I used to think I knew my wife, the woman I married, the girl I loved. But I was blind. Her betrayal in the studio, her lies, her manipulations, they all shattered the illusion I had built around us. It's like I was living in a dream, and now I'm finally waking up to the brutal reality. Honestly, I feel a strange mix of relief and grief. Relief because I've finally taken control of my life after feeling powerless for so long. Grief because I lost the person I thought I knew, someone I shared my hopes and dreams with. It's hard to accept that someone you loved so deeply could do something so cruel, so selfish. But I guess that's life, unpredictable, messy, sometimes unforgiving. I've learned to value myself more, to trust my instincts even when they scream at me to run. I won't let anyone disrespect me again, not her, not anyone. I've started focusing on myself, my health, my career, my future. I refuse to let her betrayal define me entirely. Instead, I choose to see it as a lesson, one about red flags, about boundaries, about the importance of honesty in a relationship. I hope this story serves as a warning. Pay attention to the signs, don't ignore your gut feelings, and don't let anyone manipulate or lie to you. Because once trust is broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. And sometimes walking away is the only real option. I still carry a lot of pain, but I'm learning to live with it. Slowly, one day at a time. What I want to say to anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, it's okay to feel lost, to feel betrayed, to feel angry. But don't let that anger consume you. Use it to fuel your healing. Focus on your own happiness and don't settle for less than what you deserve. The road ahead might be tough, but I believe in the possibility of better days, of finding someone who truly values you, who's honest and faithful. This experience has taught me not just about betrayal, but about resilience, about the strength you gain when you pick yourself up after hitting rock bottom. And even though I'm still healing, I know I'll come out of this stronger. Because at the end of the day, nobody, no matter how manipulative or charming, can take away your worth. All you can do is pick yourself up, learn from it, and move forward. That's what I intend to do.